കാണിക്കുന്നേന്ന് ആലോചിക്കുമായിരുന്നു.
So, the talent joining us today has been a game changer, and she was featured on our list, and very rightly so, for this wonderful film called Bougainvillea, which is a Malayalam thriller, which is actually now premiering on SonyLIV. And I watched it in cinema, and I'm so glad that I did because it was a very thrilling experience. So, Jyoti, ma'am, thank you so much, and congratulations as well
Thank you.
on
Thank you
doing
very
this film,
much.
and of course, coming on our list as well. It's so wonderful to have you on there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Right. I think I think it's a very thunderous experience, because I believe this film also marked your sort of return after a hiatus. And I think it's such a layered role, but also very socially driven as well as a very emotionally, mentally, draining experience. So how did you balance and sort of compartmentalize yourself as an artist whilst working on something as heavy as a role like this?
Mm, while working in this movie, I was going through a very low phase. My mother was not keeping well. She was uh, really in her bad health. She was in her last stages of her life. So I was really in a bad state of mind. Maybe that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that, in a way, help me understand the complexities of the character Ritu and um, uh, what you say, instability or whatever. Those complexities, you know, I could understand and portray. Maybe that was the reason. That's what I see. Maybe when people ask me these questions, this is what I find the explanation. Other than that, I had not done any other homework.
Hmm. No, it was really beautiful. And I think on shoot, I think the look that you have as well in the film, it's very fascinating. Like, there's the white hair that she has, the glasses. In a way, at first, she was proper giving me serial killer vibes. If we've seen like Viswas, we've seen
Yeah.
other like the other representations. It was very
Uh-huh.
very it kind of put leaves you on edge as well. So I
Mm.
guess for you, whilst you mentioned that about the stuff that you were going through, and I'm really sorry to hear that, and thank you for sharing that with us. But how, whilst working on set, because obviously there has to be that whole switch off and switch on element for you as an actor. So
Mhm.
what would you say was the right technique for you as an artist that helped you to really switch on and off from a character which is supposed to have amnesia, that's supposed to have memory issues as well?
Mm. Sometimes it is difficult, okay? Sometimes that whole character continues with you. Then you have to say, no, this is it. Now you are Jyothirmayi. Now you have to be what you have to do. So it was a little difficult. And when emotional scenes were taken, sometimes I couldn't stop myself from, getting out of that character. It was a little difficult for me and emotionally draining, as you said. It was.
Hmm. And I think, because obviously Kunchaks is outstanding, and also I think he's a very, very, very desirable actor. I think in
Mhm.
Malayalam cinema, and so is
Yes, yes.
Fahadh
Yes,
Faasil.
very much. Yes.
So I think, when you're working with actors, I mean, you've also got a gamut of experience, and you've also have a very amazing legacy as well behind you as well in your career. But when you're kind of working with these two actors who are obviously on the opposite
Mhm.
sides of the spectrum of your character as well,
Mhm.
does that how how would you define that experience? Because obviously, see, mentally you're going through a lot anyway as a character, but then you've got these two, mammoth stars as well with you simultaneously who are
Yes.
for and against you in a way. How do you deal with that sort of trajectory and that sort of uh standing of things as well?
Okay. So these two actors, they have been, surprising the Malayali audience or any in the people who, love their movies with different kind of roles and with different kind of performances. So for me, I was, a little, scared actually to work with these people. Like, I wasn't sure, like, when this movie was given to me by Amal, I was asking him whether it was a good idea, whether you should cast someone else, because I've
Hmm.
not been in front of the camera for a long time. And to be with these actors, they're very prominent in Malayalam and they're very eminent. So I wasn't, I wasn't sure. But as we progress with the filming, these people really help me. They also, along with their performances, they also help me elevate my performance as well. So it was wonderful working with these both people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, and I feel like it's been a really great year this year for
Hmm.
Malayalam cinema, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna come to that in a while. But I think the golden question really here is Jyoti ma'am, is you took the break. Okay, it was quite
Yeah.
a
You can
long.
call me Jyothirmayi, no problem. Jyoti or Jyotirmayi.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. So Jyoti, when you took your break, at that point as an actor, what was going through your mind then? I think now when you've overcome, such because I feel when you're going through a very difficult time emotionally and mentally, it's no less than a
Mm.
battle. And when you kind of have overcome
Yeah.
that, which you seem to have, and really, kudos to you for doing that. How
Mm.
do you kind of introspect your decision back then of taking that break?
When this movie came to me, like my mother always wanted me to do movies. So even more than me, my mother and it was Amal. They both actually pushed me to, take this um, Bougainvillea. It was my mother's dream, and that's how, Amal persuaded me to do this character. Actually, I had forgotten that I was an actor, or I used to, love doing movies. All these things were like, forgotten at one
Mm,
point because my priorities had become different. Um, these years, uh, you know, the COVID had come, and because of that, uh, as family, our parents, and everybody, we were staying together. And Amal's father was not well. My mother was not well. Um, we had a son. Then all these things. So my priorities had, become different. So
mm,
then I had completely forgotten that about the movies and all those things. But I had in, back of my mind, if something really comes my way, then I will do. That's all I had thought about movies.
mm,
So something like Bougainvillea, which came to me, I was surprised actually because I never thought something so intense and deep would come my way. But when something like that came to me, I was terrified, like, whether I will be able to do justice. Because all these years, even though I've been working with Amal behind the camera, uh, uh, whether I will be able to do justice to this character, coming in front of the camera, that is a totally different game altogether. So, but my mother's persuasion and Amal's persuasion.
mm,
Because of that, I took up this project.
mm,
That's how it is.
mm. Now, I think the social messaging here is honestly, I think obviously we're not going to reveal what happens in the film because I do want people to watch it on SonyLIV and experience it for themselves. But I think
Mhm.
I think the sort of underlining messaging about empowerment and um I think also speaking up, for voices of the oppressed, I think is something which really resonated with a lot of audiences, including myself. And I
Mhm.
think we all felt this ray of emotions. I think when we have those sort of uh, that sort of a messaging in the film as well, because you've done a lot of soap operas, and from my understanding of soap operas in Indian television, I've not seen the ones in Malayalam, so I do apologize
Mhm.
for that, but they're often very strong women as well.
Mhm.
So how much has that impression of strong women had a really important role to play in your life, and how much did that come handy actually for Bougainvillea as well?
Um, like, my mother was a very strong woman. My grandmother was a very strong woman. My mother-in-law is a strong woman. So whoever I've come across, they've all played an important, role in my life. So even though you don't have to be a strong woman, you don't have to be loud or, to be like, very, very obvious. You don't have to
Yeah,
be. You
exactly.
can be very subtle, but at the same time, make your point. So I think, yeah,
Hmm.
that kind of people, I think everybody, and I don't think, you cannot just generally say people who are just keeping on talking are very strong and people who are not talking are not strong.
Yeah.
You know, maybe whomever I've come across, all those women, I think some way or the other, they are, you know, they are warriors. They are fighters. They fight every day for their life. So you cannot see someone as, as low, or you cannot just put somebody in the pedestal. So everybody is a fighter.
And I think it's been a milestone year for women in Malayalam cinema as well this year, right? Like, obviously,
Mm,
you've had the Me Too movement, which has really got traction, and thank God. And I think it's wonderful to see that actually happening, which is very heartening to see. You've obviously had really strong women's stories, like in All We Imagine Is Light by Al Kapadia's film, which is in
mm,
Malayalam
yeah.
language. You had Sukshma Darshini as well,
Rashini, yes.
did very well. So how do you, number one, feel about the sort of social messaging? I mean, of course, Bougainvillea as well. We can add to that list as well. So, how do you feel about the sort of rise in strong women's stories on real as well as reality that's obviously happening on ground, where women are standing together and raising their voice against wrongdoings that have been happening for a while?
I think it's really good. Uh, the current state of women, actually, as years progress, I think a lot of changes are happening. People, as I told you before, you cannot say, now because of this social media and all those platforms they have. Now it's been more. Uh, they get more, what do you say, limelight or all those things. Even women before, they have also done their part. But maybe because they didn't have this kind of, platforms, their stories were now uh, said or told by other people, or they
Hmm.
didn't get that kind of, limelight. But now, because of all these social media and other platforms, these women, they get a lot of, attention, and their voices are heard more, and the women are becoming, very powerful.
Yes, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think also what I really am very happy about as well, Malayalam cinema this year has done extremely well, I think on a larger scale as well, in terms of the box office collections. They've done, it's been so many super hit films. And I feel also, if I am to look at the underlining message of all of them, including Bougainvillea, is the fact that it's survival. I think survival is such an important underlining message. Like, you had Ado Jeevitam, even if we look at a film like Manyumal Boys or even Brahma Yugam, there that
Mhm.
whole underlining message of survival has been of paramount importance this year. What do you
Yeah.
think, digging a bit deeper, but what do you think has really kind of contributed towards this story or this kind of theme of survival? Because it's always been there, right? But what specifically about this year do you think has really evoked those emotions about surviving and fighting back and all of those things?
Uh, I think it's more of a coincidence. Uh, then Malayalam industry, it's a very small industry, has a very small budget. Because of that, they tend to tell more realistic stories,
Hmm.
but with a bigger bang, or like, that's what I think. It's like, but the survival thing, it's more like a coincidence, I think. It
Hmm.
was, I know everybody, every director, they make their story. But we don't tell the other director, okay, today we are going to make survival story. So tomorrow, are you planning to do that? No, there's no yeah, such communication or such uh, call. It is just coincidence.
Right, right. Now, I absolutely love your look, by the way, and I said this
Thank you.
in the article we wrote as well, that I feel like you've kind of redefined what heroinism means in Indian cinema
Mhm.
to an extent. I mean, and definitely in Malayalam for sure. Because I feel like there's such a typical kind of stereotype that exists for what a heroine is and all of that. And of course, that's also changing as well, big time.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Mhm.
for you, how important, obviously you're not someone that's literally going with arms and being like, yeah, let's change the world, of course not. But um how how important has it been for you to not adhere to stereotypes and to really kind of embrace what you feel as an artist, number one, and also at the same time really kind of think about how we can up the game, change the game for what heroinism actually means in Indian cinema and in Malayalam cinema as well.
Uh, it wasn't intentional. Uh, as you said, like, okay, I didn't think, okay, I'm going to change the whole thing, society's thought, nothing like that. I think basically, as as people, like, we have to be comfortable in what we are and what we are seen as. That's what the whole thing is. So, at one point, I was trying to be this and that, and every trying to fit into other person's box so
Mm,
that I am appealing to that person. So then after a point, like any act, so I think many actors go through this phase.
mm,
But after a point, then we realize, okay, no, let's be ourselves. Maybe there was a point where I thought I have to be what I am.
mm.
That's all.
Well, what inspired this look of yours, though? I really like it. Like it's the salt and pepper look with the glasses. I absolutely love it. What would you say inspired that look, though?
I don't know. I really don't know. Uh, Maybe I was going through this Pinterest thing where I saw a Vogue editor. I really don't know her name, but that her pictures were keeping on coming, and I thought, wow, she looks so stunning. I've never seen somebody so stunning.
Hmm.
So yeah, okay, maybe
Okay.
that picture.
All right. Well, look, I think the fact that you've done such a brilliant film, that's obviously clearly a really big hit. And now it's obviously open on an Indian platform like, well, Indian and international platform now, like SonyLIV. The fact that you also have Neele Neele Ambar Par playing at the beginning of the film, it was so lovely. I was so pleasantly surprised to hear that. So it's clearly got a very it's a very beautiful pan-Indian film in many, many ways. In fact, every film nowadays is actually almost pan-Indian as well. So, now that we're kind of in this phase, the fact that you've made your comeback now, what do you now hope or aspire for in the next sort of phase of your career as an actor? Is there a certain role after doing something as meaty as this that you're really wanting to get your teeth into?
I'm not, restricting myself to anything. I'm just keeping my, options open. So I want to do something which really excites me. That's all. That comes my way, which really excites me. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Right. But kuch to hoga. I'm sure you must have something in your mind that, oh, I really want to play this kind of role. Something you've seen recently, maybe that inspired you or that moved you.
Uh, I don't know actually. I don't know.
All right. Well, no, that's exciting then, ma'am, because I think that honestly we'll have a lot to look forward to, I think, from you as an artist as well. And I
I hope
believe
so.
no, definitely. Of course we will. And honestly, it was such a beautiful experience watching you on the big screen for Bougainvillea. And I really genuinely enjoyed the film. And I
Okay.
think people who have subscribed to Sony Live will definitely have a great time experiencing that. In fact,
Uh,
they're very lucky. They've got such good films on Malayalam films on Sony Live. Like they've got Brahma
okay.
Yugam as well that's on there. So it's wonderful
Okay.
that to see these films finally get the audience and get this sort of pan-India audience as well now, which is wonderful.
Thank you, Anush. Thank you so much.
you. Thank you. It was such a pleasure, Jyoti,
Thank
having
you.
you on filmishonly.com and wishing you all the very best.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
congratulations on
Thank
such
you.
a wonderful year.
Thank you, Anush. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.